Okay, so maybe we're live. I don't know. This is my first time doing the live. If you're there, give me a shout out. So, I have today, I'm going to talk about some rapture information, okay? I don't typically go to certain sites, and yesterday some rapture videos were suggested to me, and once I clicked on one, they just started pouring in, okay? Pouring in. And I was like, whoa, where did this all come from? And there is a name out there, let's just call him Brother Joshua. I didn't pick up his name, his last name. So I'll just call him Brother Joshua. He's from South Africa, and he's been all over the internet. But he just showed up in my suggested videos yesterday. Anyway, and that is what I'm going to be talking about. I sure hope you guys, I hope this is working. This is the first time. I'm just trial and error. We'll see how it works out. So anyway, let me talk about Brother Joshua for a moment. So because that's what I'm really. Hey, how you doing, James? Hello, hello. Yes. Joshua has been all over the place in South Africa and even on some channels here in the United States. English isn't his first language, but I did write some notes of his visions, and what I'm going to do is, because I have a lot of my own dreams and visions, and so I'm going to be sharing some of mine and see how they connect, okay? Because some of his dreams and visions connect with what I know about the rapture, and some of them don't. Hello, Keith. How you doing? So let's begin. Like I said, we're going to go with his dreams and visions, and then I will add my own personal take. But before we start, I want to start with a Bible passage. Hello, Sally. This is a passage written by Paul. And I'm going to be reading from my own interpretation of the Bible, Hareb Beruach, Sword of the Spirit. Okay? So, the passage is, I know a man in Mashiach. All right? Mashiach is Messiah or Christ, who was caught up to the third heaven 14 years ago. Whether in the body or out of the body, I know not. Elohim knows. Elohim is a Hebrew word for God, okay? Elohim. So anyway, we're talking about the rapture. Is it out of the body? Is it in the body? And that's really what we're going to be trying to figure out today. So, in Joshua's first vision that he shared in the interview that I watched, he was talking about how he walked into a scorched field. And it was just scorched, empty. There was no people anywhere. And then he looked up and he saw stars above. And he knew that those stars represented believers, okay? And he had this sense that, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read my notes, that some kind of a nuclear atomic bomb or something had hit, and that was what had caused the earth to have its destruction. All right? Now this dream and vision he had in 2003, okay? Scorched earth, stars in the heavens, representing people, and some kind of a nuclear event, all right? So To that, I actually have another passage that I want to refer to, and it can be found in Daniel. All right? Daniel. And it is, and those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the sky, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars from the heavens. Okay? So he right there in Daniel, it talks about the people being bright like the stars of the heavens. All right? And so what was he seeing? A lot of it is symbolic. Okay? We know that the Holy Spirit fire, a revival. Okay? Hello, I see someone. Don't recognize the name. It's a foreign language, but hello. I am from Arkansas. Okay? Arkansas, the United States. Anyway, to answer your question, to shine as bright as the heavens are those who lead others to righteousness. Okay? And what is righteousness? To live a godly life, right? To live a godly life. So when you lead them, now we ourselves, we can live godly lives, and that's great, and we can be wise of ourselves. But when we guide others, then we become bright like the stars. All right? And so right now, there are a lot of people that are trying to guide people to righteousness, okay? And that's really what this is referring to. Now, I know on the surface it sounds very scary, very intimidating. What, a nuclear bomb? That's scary. I will tell you this. Now I'm going to put my personal experience. Years ago, now I told you that I'm reading from my Bible interpretation, Horeb Beruach, Sword of the Spirit. Years ago, in 2019, when I first started the edits of this Bible project, Jesus told me that he wanted me to use my name, my true name, not my misspelt legal name. My true name is Windy, like the wind. Okay? And I didn't want to because I was being teased a lot and I didn't want to. And he told me in 2019, January, early 2019, he said, your wind will cause the earth to explode. And then I was given a vision. I was not asleep. I was fully awake. And I was given a vision of the whole earth on fire with the Holy Spirit. So we're talking about revival. Okay? So where a lot of people say, oh, this is scary, it's really symbolic for revival. All right? All right. So what is significant about my Bible? What makes it so special? Well, I have made a lot of adaptations. It's being interpreted by a woman with a woman's take on things, number one. But really, it adds the, hello from India, it adds the sacred name of God, all right? In most interpretations of the Bible, they say the Lord, okay? The Lord. And I actually put the tetragrammaton, the sacred name of God, in Paleo-Hebrew. And his name means that he exists, all right? So that we're not lorded over, that's kind of a negative connotation, right? It kind of gives us the idea that, it kind of gives us the idea that we are, it gives us the idea that God lords over us, right? When in reality, he exists. He just wants us to know that he exists, all right? So that is a change of the mind, right? So this idea of the nuclear holocaust is a terrifying concept, but when you see it a different way, I am talking about the rapture to refer to you I am talking about the rapture, okay? And how Brother Joshua from South Africa is going around sharing his dreams and visions about the rapture. And I just shared, if you want to go back to the beginning, his 2003 vision about scorched earth. And then I added my own understanding. All right? So let's move forward to the vision that Brother Joshua had in 2011. It is, I'm going to call this the court scene vision, okay? So he was in a line going to the heavenly courts, all right? And he knew that a lot of people around him had died. Am I married? No, I'm not. Thanks for asking. Oh, but I am in the market. I am in the market. All right, so he was in the a line because a lot of people had died. Now, he was just really kind of an observer, being in first person, okay, going through the experience. Will I marry you? Send me a picture. Just teasing. So anyway, yes. And there was a guy in front of him that was shaking. He was shaking compulsively, okay, because he felt guilt and shame is what that is. He was going to the higher courts, and he was going to be judged by God. And this person in front of Brother Joshua, he went in, had his court hearing, and what happened to him after that, Brother Joshua doesn't report. But when it was his turn, he walks in, and straight ahead was God. Oh, you're 27? Well, I'm almost twice your age, so I don't know. Not quite twice your age, but yeah. I've got kids your age, let's put it that way. But thank you. Anyway, so he went in, and straight ahead he saw God the Father, and God was massive, huge, like a giant, okay? And oh, you'll still marry me? Thank you. But anyway, to God's right was Jesus, and he was dressed in a white robe. And to God's left was Satan, the accuser, right? Who had fines, okay, to give to people. And oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So as he walked in and he saw this, the Satan, the accuser, before he even had a chance to accuse him, Jesus stepped forward and acquitted him. Okay? Now, so that kind of gives you the idea of once saved, always saved, right? I don't know if I believe in that, but that's what the kind of idea is. Maybe Brother Joshua, his sins, whatever his sins were, weren't too bad because he got away with whatever it was. I'm not a believer in the once saved, always saved, but maybe. So anyway, I believe that, we kind of, anyway, we'll get into that later. So at this point, once he was acquitted, there's no Jesus, Yeshua, Yahushua. Okay, there's many names for him. Even the Muslim faith believes in him. All right, so once he was acquitted, he knew that there was two stairs. One went down, and that was to go to hell. And the other stairs went up, and he knew that was to go to heaven. So he was allowed to go up. And when he was up, he saw green grass. It was bright and sunny, okay? It was a beautiful sunny day. The sun, he said, even though it was bright and sunny, it did not burn his skin. So the sun was very important to this scene, but it did not radiate and burn his skin. And the people that were there was two kind that he reported. He said that there were school children and people who were in came to India? I've never been to India, but you know what? Hey, there's an eclipse coming, I think in 2030 in South India. I might come for that. So anyway, he saw two types of people. He saw school children, and he saw people who were in jail uniforms. All right? And, well, maybe we can meet. We'll see about that. So anyway, he saw people who were in jail uniforms and people who were school children. So what does this symbolize? Because we're talking about symbolism here, okay? Those people didn't really come from jail. It's not like the only people that are going to go to heaven are convicts who repent and children. All right? What we're talking about are, remove my cap. My hair's messy now. If I had come without my cap, it would have been different. So anyway, what are we talking about? Symbolism. Who are the people in the jail uniforms? If they were people who had repented, then they wouldn't be wearing jail uniforms, right? They'd be wearing white or something. That's what you would expect to see in heaven, but he didn't see that because it symbolizes something. All right? So who's in heaven? You got a group of people who are in prison still, and then you got a group of people who are childlike. What did Jesus say in the New Testament? He said that there are many children in heaven. Yes, you are distracting me. Yeah, Jesus said that there are many children in heaven, right? But you can keep on writing because I appreciate it. There are many kinds of people in heaven, but children, lots of children in heaven. So does that mean that that those people were never adults on earth? Or did they become like children? So who are those who become like children? They are the obedient servants of God. You know, children are obedient to their parents, right? And then you've got some who are not so obedient. And, they got their get out of jail free card, but they're still wearing the uniform, okay? Let's put it that way. They're still wearing the uniform because maybe they weren't exactly obedient. Now, Brother Joshua did not describe what he was wearing. He probably didn't remember, but he was an adult. Now, when he saw Jesus, because Jesus was down in the courtroom, but then he ascended to this heavenly realm to interact with Brother Joshua some. And one of the things that he said was that when he saw Jesus, he was so beautiful and pure love, and he felt waves of love come at him, okay? It was like waves. Now this is important, and I'm going to go into more detail about those waves later, okay? After we get through a couple more of his dreams and visions. And then he saw these blocks of wood, and on the wood were names. And those names represented the people that Brother Joshua had helped lead to Christ. Where are you seeing? I'm at a park. Yeah, I'm at a park. So anyway, and so Brother Joshua led some people to Christ. But there were a lot of blocks that still did not have names on it. And Jesus told him, let's see if I wrote down the exact words. I don't think I wrote down the exact words. But Jesus told him that he needed to go ahead and continue to bring people to become believers, okay? To lead them to righteousness, because that's how you get your star, right? You want to be wise? Well, that's wonderful. If you want to be a star, then you got to lead many to righteousness, okay? So there you go. Now, I can't say I've never been, I have been in court in heaven a couple of times, all right? And in one of those times, it was just before, it was the lower courts. So I wasn't seeing God the Father and Jesus and Satan. I wasn't seeing that. I was seeing a whole panel of judges, okay? And I wasn't there for trial. I was there to report. So it was actually kind of like a town hall meeting, and I was making my reports about all that stuff that was going on in 2020. You know, the thing that affected the whole world. I was up there giving my 2 cents about it. And I was going toe to toe in a debate in front of this panel of judges with an individual who is also part of the community, the heavenly community. And he was on the different side of the fence about that issue. And I was told that later, after I made my report about what I saw, because I was bearing witness in heaven, I was leaving, and it was beautiful. It was pink marble. It was absolutely beautiful, these courts, okay? And as I was leaving, there was like a garden on my left, and that little weasel of a guy came chasing after me, and he threatened me, and this was years ago. He told me that I needed to mind my own business and be quiet, or else he was going to attack my Bible project. All right? And oh, are you a police in India? So I did I took it as, when I woke up from this. So the moment he threatened me, I woke up like that. And I was so angry. And I got down on my knees and I cried out to God. And I was like, why was he allowed to threaten me? Okay? And this is what I was told. And this was before the even was fully developed. It wasn't even on the market yet. Okay? It was like 6 months before that even happened. I was told that many believers, so many Christians, would actually take it, and many non-believers would not take it, and that it was a test on humanity, okay? It was a test. You know, these are the trials and tribulations, all right? And I know that makes some people uncomfortable, but, you know, God just wanted to let people see where they were at. You know, are you putting God first? You know what I'm saying? If you took it, then maybe you needed to make some changes in your life, all right? So, after this, that was it with that, all right? So I did eventually report against this about a year later, after it was in high swing, okay? And a lot of people were getting censored and stuff. But I did say something about it on my other channel, Called Out of Darkness, and my channel was silenced. And that channel had my Bible project on it, all right? So because I wasn't just translating it, I was actually narrating it. It was an audio Bible. And so I was attacked. All right, but I knew about the censorship. I was warned about it like a year before it ever happened. Okay, now let's go on to the next vision. So that was 2011 with Brother Joshua in the courts. The next place he went was he saw Jesus. He didn't give a specific date on this, but it was between 2011 and 2017, okay? He saw Jesus, And this time, instead of wearing a white robe, he was wearing a royal robe, like a king. And in the chest was a galaxy, all right? And he heard, telepathically, he heard, this is the one who holds the universe together, all right? This is the one who holds the universe together. And that galaxy was rotating over the heart, all right? So now that's important, because what have we already talked about? We were talking about stars. And who are the stars? They are those who lead others to righteousness. So Jesus is the one who holds all of the stars together. All right? So in a way, that galaxy is the church, it's the bride. Okay? All right. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who are afraid of the looking at like the zodiac and different things like that. But in Revelation 12, it actually tells that there is some signs in the heaven that we need to look for. And those signs, we're going to talk about them shortly. But so it's important that this gentleman, Brother Joshua, received that very powerful vision so that he could have some understanding of Jesus, and how, have some understanding of future visions that he would have. Okay, so let's go into them. So now he's in the Supreme Court, and he sees Jesus. He's in a heavenly type Supreme Court, not a physical Supreme Court. And he sees Jesus talking to some pastors, but when Jesus was speaking to them, and they were on, I believe they were on his left, okay? When Jesus was speaking to them, it was muted. Brother Joshua could not understand what he was saying, okay? It was like, okay, he couldn't hear him. And the next thing that happened was he, once that conversation was over, then they disappeared and Jesus left. Now, while he was speaking to them, he wasn't in his king robe anymore. He was in a white robe again, okay? This is important because those king robes are symbols for something later on. They all piece together. So after that, Brother Joshua, he felt left out. He didn't understand why he had not been included in that. Now, in his private life, he had been dipping his toes into being a pastor and then getting out of it, and then dipping in, then getting out several times, okay? And at this particular moment, he was no longer a pastor, and he knew that those people were pastors, and so he wasn't in the in crowd. And so he felt a little bit bad, like, did I make a bad decision to get out of the traditional church, denominational churches? He felt bad about that. He didn't know if he had made a good decision. And after a while, after Jesus speaking to the pastors, he actually left the room. And then his Holy Spirit, his spirit came. So it was like an apparition. It was see-through. And Brother Joshua, was feeling bad. And that is when this apparition of Yeshua, Jesus, told him, "You are holy." And this made him feel, he didn't feel worthy to be called holy. But what he didn't understand was the real meaning of that word, to be holy. And it means to be set apart. All right? So the pastors, with their denominations and everything, Jesus had specific instructions for them. But this gentleman, Brother Joshua, is holy. He's set apart. Okay? Now, I can relate to this because I had been in and out of different churches. I've sampled my whole life. Okay, I have sampled, well, not my whole life. I ran from God for a little bit. I think we can all relate to that as well. But I was in the church in my late 30s and early 40s, and God actually called me out of the church. Called me out. Was it a bad decision? No. I was being set apart. God wanted to teach me some stuff that isn't acceptable in a lot of denominational churches. It's just the fact of it. Why? Because God is, He is shaping and molding leaders to teach new things, new revelation. Okay? And if you are in an indoctrinated mindset where you're limited to only believe this or this or this, and you can't expand beyond that, then you're kind of in a prison suit, aren't you? You might be going to heaven, but you were limited. You allowed yourself to be limited. And right now, God is calling people out of traditional churches. I'm not trying to insult them, okay? To become leaders and teach new revelation. All right? So, yes, Brother Joshua has been called out as well, and he is being called holy and set apart. All right? Now, from this same dream and vision, hello, David. That's true. That's true. No one knows the day and hour, and we will get to that shortly. Thank you so much for sharing your your thoughts on that. So here we are, in this same dream and vision, right? After going, having the Jesus walk away, he goes to a different location. He goes down. Jesus returns, and now he's in his kingly robes, all right? And he descends down into a grassy area, kind of like a park, and they walk together, all right? They're walking together. Now, that descent with him in his robes, that kind of gives the idea of Jesus coming down to earth, okay? And they are walking together. Now, I walk with Jesus, and in the real world, Brother Joshua walks with Jesus. I'm sure that David and who else do we got up there? James, if you're still around, let me know. I'm sure that all of us can relate to the fact that we walk with Jesus, right? We have a strong bond with him. So anyway, that's what that symbolizes. But then he says, now wait, because he said, so he's descending down the stairs with him. He's walking, and he says, he said that there will not be a World Cup in 2026. Okay? It's not going to be a World Cup. Now, I don't know why. Okay? I don't know why. I haven't been given revelation to that. But according to Joshua, he said that there was going to be, for those who are left behind, things were not going to be business as usual. So there's going to be a massive disruption in the world between September, late September of this year, and whenever the World Cup is. That's the idea. There's going to be some kind of a disruption that is going to happen. Now, in 2026, the World Cup is going to take place in the United States. So it's quite possible that we're going to have some kind of disruption here in the United States. I haven't been given information about that myself, okay? But it would not surprise me, okay? Because I know that we are going to have a disruption. I just don't know the specifics to that detail. All right. Now, when this vision was coming to an end, Jesus opened the Bible and he pointed to Psalms 92. And I meant to read that so I can have some further revelation. Brother Joshua did not specifically say anything about Psalms 92, but I'm sure that there are some powerful revelation. I know I kind of skimmed through it, and there was something about the work of your hands. You know, unfortunately I didn't break down the whole psalm, but anything dealing with the work of your hands, right? Some people, put their efforts towards wickedness, and some people put it towards righteousness. And one of the things that we have been talking about is becoming righteous, right? So we can shine like the stars. Well, actually, teaching others to become righteous so that we can shine like the stars. All right. Now, where are we at? Now we're getting to 2017. Okay? So, and this is important, because a lot of things happen. Now remember, I already told you, he saw Jesus wearing the robe and with that galaxy in there, and he was told that this is the one who holds the galaxy together, right? So now, what is the galaxy? All right, the zodiac. God uses signs and from the heavens. And the Revelation 12 sign was very important. And that sign actually was fulfilled in 2017 is when it started, okay? So here we are now in 2017. And once again, Brother Joshua, is seeing Jesus in the throne room this time. So Jesus was sitting on his throne, okay? And Jesus had his hands on the armrests of his throne. And he says, he tells him to let people know that he is coming soon. Actually, he says, I am coming soon. All right, so it's a given to tell the people, but I am coming soon. And then he began to sit up. And when he did, just that small motion, a force, some kind of a power, a force hit Brother Joshua, okay? And he blew back. That was his own words. He wasn't pushed back, he blew back, okay? Now, in the book of Revelations, there are passages that talk about the wind, all right? So, yes, he was blown back and he left the throne room. He didn't see the heavens. He just went from being in the throne room to falling from the sky and then landing in his bed. Now, that sounds pretty fantastic and unbelievable. And you know what? If it wasn't for it happened to me, I would have a hard time believing it. But it happened to me too. So I've had that experience, and I believe him wholeheartedly. Okay, but in mine, I was having some kind of a soul contract with somebody. My right hand was grabbing their right hand by the arm like this, and we were facing each other, like this, and we were grabbing each other's arms, and God was in between us. All right, so I was on over here, the right side of God, and this other person, this gentleman, was on the left side of God. Our right hands were grabbing each other at the elbow, and then God had his hands over our forearms, all right? And he was prophesying and giving me revelation about what was going to be happening over the next couple of years, okay? And similar to Brother Joshua, I heard a lot of it, but then suddenly it was muted. I knew it was still continuing, but I wasn't allowed to hear that part as God continued to prophesy, okay? And then all of a sudden, It was like someone opened a trap door from underneath of me. Because, oh, I didn't tell you this part. Where were we? We were in the clouds, surrounded by lightning. Okay? Surrounded. We could feel the electrical charges all around. And we were blue people, like blue holograms. Okay? I'm just saying, we were like blue holograms up in the clouds. And anyway, the moment that trap door opened, I fell from the heavens, similar to Brother Joshua, okay? I fell from the heavens and landed in my bed. And when I landed and I hit hard, oh my goodness, I woke up like that. And so I totally, 100% believe Brother Joshua that happened to him. Okay, so now this is important because remember, Jesus was getting up, and just that small action caused a wave. And if you recall, when Brother Joshua was in the courts, and then he was allowed to go up into the heavenly realm with the children and prisoners, people in prison uniforms. If you haven't figured that out, those are people who are trapped in denominations. Okay? Because denominations, there's no room for growth. You either believe something a certain way and you're part of the club, or you're not part of the club. Okay? So they themselves, they're saved, but they're trapped. Okay? So that is the nicest way I can say it, okay, about denominational churches. We serve a living God, and he doesn't, like the ocean, it ebbs and flows, and a lot of denominational churches are stagnant fish tanks, okay? I've had dreams and visions about this stuff, so I know what I'm talking about, and I'm not trying to insult anyone. But God right now is bringing fresh revelation, and a lot of people who are trapped in denominations are not receiving that fresh revelation because they're trapped. Okay? So, anyway, yes, that wind blew like a wave, all right? But in that first dream, or not the first one, but the one with where he felt the love of Jesus coming at him like waves. This is actually very symbolic. Now remember, this throne room one was in 2017. What happened in 2017? A lot of exciting things. Okay, so we had the Virgo gave birth to the king planet, Jupiter. All right. So that's what happened in 2017. That's what kickstarted it. If you read Revelation 12, you're going to discover that that Jesus goes on. He's not a big part of the of the Revelation 12 chapter. Is basically, a man child is born, and then that's it. And then the whole chapter is about the woman who is in the wilderness. All right, so she goes into the wilderness for 3.5 years. All right, well, no, it was to the day. It was 3.5 years. What was it? 1,280 days. Okay, so from there, that is part of the revelation, and then a time times and half a time. Again, that's another 3.5 years, and together they represent 7 years. Well, what happened in 2017, not only did Virgo give birth to the king planet after a gestation period, all right, but also because Jupiter had retrograde in the womb of Virgo, all right, and also there were some planets and stuff that lined up in Leo, which gave her the crown with 12 stars. Okay, so Not only did that happen in 2017, but there was the first Great American Solar Eclipse. All right. So this Great American Solar Eclipse is, it started in 2017. It took place up there, in Oregon, and the path was slashed down to South Carolina or something like that. Anyway, here's the thing. The 2 total eclipses that happened within a 7-year period create an X over the United States. Okay? And that X is like X marks the spot. All right? 2 solar eclipses created that in a 7-year period. What are we talking about? The woman of Revelation 12. Okay? Now, I talk about this in detail in my book, God's Master Plan for the Masses. I self-published that years ago, okay? And it didn't get very good reviews because I was self-published. I'm set apart. I'm not connected to any churches, okay? So I don't have people to push me, all right? It's not like I can run the circuit from one church, promoting myself. I'm not part of a network. So I'm really kind of creating my own network. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so. Hit the thumbs up. I appreciate it. But I describe this in detail in my book, God's Master Plan for the Masses. You can find a link to that book in the description box. All right? Now, God used those 2 total eclipses and a 3rd eclipse, which is an annular eclipse, to write his Paleo-Hebrew signature on the United States, the Aleph Tau, the Aleph Tav, okay? The beginning and end, the Alpha and Omega. He literally wrote it, his Paleo-Hebrew signature, over the United States in a 7-year period. Now, if that isn't a sign from heaven, I don't know what else to say to you, but big things are happening. So, now remember, Brother Joshua, he felt that wind when Jesus said, I'm coming, okay? And just that small motion created that. Now, I want to tell you, and I didn't say this, but around the throne in that vision, he saw a mist. So that mist represents something beyond Jesus, okay? So you had Jesus on his throne surrounded by a mist, and what was he pushed by? A wind. So it was a visual manifestation of the wind. So you've got the essence of the Holy Spirit right there with Jesus, okay? So you've got the 2 that are one right there at the throne, okay? Now, where do I want to go from here? So, yes, waves, okay? Keep that in mind. The first wave, Jesus is coming in doses. Everyone has this idea that he's going to instantly just show up, right? He's just going to show up. I would love that. I'm ready. Take me. But he's coming in waves. The energy is coming in waves. Why? Because humanity, it's too much. People can only accept so much change at a time, okay? That's just the fact of it. They can only take so much change at a time, or else it turns chaotic. So, and that's the reason why the energy of Jesus is coming in waves. Now, after this, in 2018, so this is after the first eclipse. This is after Virgo gave birth to Jupiter, symbolizing, the woman of Revelation 12 giving birth to the man-child. So in 2018, he didn't see anything. This is Brother Joshua. He didn't see anything, but he heard a loud, audible voice. And it said, there will be no World Cup in 2026. So I was mistaken. I think I already talked about that. I got my notes mixed up. But it was in 2018 that they talk about the World Cup will not take place. Because life on earth will not be business as usual for those who are left behind. So, I don't want to be left behind, but that's pretty scary stuff there. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to physically be raptured? I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not. And the reason why is because there are passages in the New Testament that talk about being caught up in the Spirit. All right? I have been caught up in the Spirit. Brother Joshua has been caught up in the Spirit. But did our bodies physically go somewhere? All right? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right? But I know that I have been caught up in the Spirit and my body was still there. Okay? So I don't know what the rapture is going to look like. The whole idea of a physical rapture, believe it or not, is only about 150 years old or something like that. It was developed in the 1800s. So before that, they didn't have that wasn't on their mind. That wasn't their original thinking. Okay? So let's move on. Now we're in 2022. This is post, the event, all right, the test. Okay? Jesus appears to him again, and he tells him, from the time Israel became a nation in 1948, there will be 77 years until the Exodus. All right? And here we are. That's what we're at. We're at 77 years later. That's a significant number right there. Okay? 7 represents completion. It's also symbolic of the Sabbath, right? And we're supposed to keep the Sabbath holy. It represents God's rest. So for some people, whether we're raptured up in a physical sense or we are elevated in some other kind of way, we are going to have rest. Okay? That's what that is symbolizing, because we're at the 77 year. Okay? So, and Exodus means to leave. Now, where did they leave from? They left from Egypt. Egypt is actually not the real word that was used in the Bible. It's Mitzrayim. And Mitzrayim has a special meaning. All right? It means tower or fortress. Okay, so I can tell you that we are expected, my understanding of the rapture is not a physical exodus. It is a different type of exodus, all right? And I actually write about this in my upcoming book. See, I had the other book, God's Master Plan for the Masses, published in 2022. That is when it was published, the very same time that he's having this vision. Okay? He's having this vision. And, but now And I even said at the end of that book that I had another book that I was going to write called God's Master Plan for Salvation. Okay? And I was planning on writing that book back to back, like one and then the other. But I had, the first book was such a flop, and it was emotionally devastating. My one review was someone complaining about the fact that God wanted me to use my actual real name and not my legal name. See, because I have a birth name that I was given. It was misspelled on my birth certificate, and so my legal name is not my real name, but God wanted me to use my real name, which is Windy, like the wind. And that was, my one review on that book was a complaint about me using a anonymous name. It's not anonymous, okay? It's not. It's my actual true birth name, and God told me to use it. So if anyone has a problem with that, that's on you, okay? So anyway, let's get back to this. The Exodus, okay? It's going to happen 77 years later. We're entering the rest, okay? My understanding of the Exodus is a lot different, and I share it in my book, God's Master Plan for Salvation. That book is it's actually available for pre-order now. I was going to write it before, like back in 2022, but God delayed it because he was maturing me. God teaches me in the secret places, okay? I have been set apart. Do I know Ram? I don't know Ram. I have been set apart and taught certain things by God, and now it's time to reveal those things. And you'll find my teachings about the Exodus. Oh, Lord Shiva. I know a little bit about Shiva. Yes, I do. Not a lot, unfortunately, but I know he's blue, and I was blue up in that one experience when I was in the clouds. So I believe in blue people. They're real. So anyway, let's see. Yes, and you can find a link for that book, God's Master Plan for Salvation, in the description box below. It's for pre-order. Its actual release date is later on this month, September 21st. Now, you will find out, listen to what Brother Joshua talks about, all right, here in a second. And like I said, he had this vision in 2022. I just heard about it, all right? He just was referred to me yesterday. And yet, so many of our things are lining up with one another. And so I really appreciate him. Now, our understanding's a little bit different. Yeah. Isn't one of his Shiva's one of his names like Krishna or something, or is that a different person? It seems like a lot of teachings overlap, right, from one faith to another faith. And let me tell you about that. The God of Israel, he created all things. That means that he's also a God known by different names in other religions, okay? How can the God of all things not also interact with other people around the world? Of course he interacted with them. So anyway, let me get back to it. So Brother Joshua was told by Jesus that on the Feast of Trumpets, which is 2023 and 4th of this year, that he would be coming for his church. Okay? And so that's interesting. If he comes in the physical, hey, please take me with. My understanding of the rapture is different than a lot of churches. So that's what I'll tell you, my only experience in a rapture was I was in the ocean. The water was very low. It was like mid-thigh, okay? And the ocean was full of people. In Hebrew, people and ocean is the same word, okay? I didn't know it at the time, but it's the same word. Okay, so there was a whole ocean full of people, and the water came mid-thigh, and we were all waiting. Now, I had this vision years ago. We were all waiting for something, and we're all faced a certain direction. We're all looking up into the sky, and then we saw something come. You know, we were looking for Jesus, and the only thing that came was a nuclear bomb. All right, I'm just telling you. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's symbolic, okay? It's symbolic. It's not the end of the world as we know it. Well, it's not the end of the physical world. It's just the end of the world as we know it. And it's going to be a drastic change. I told you earlier in this video that the Holy Spirit is going to come and bring revival. See, everyone in the ocean was looking for something. All right? It's scary. Revival is scary. You know, a lot of denominations, they have quenched the Holy Spirit. They don't like new revelation. Right? They stay in their doctrines that they're comfortable with, and they don't go beyond that. It's scary, but revival is coming. It's scary, but it's the Holy Spirit, okay? It's Holy Spirit fire, all right? And it's coming, and it's going to bring fresh revelation. It's terrifying, but it's going to bring enlightenment to the masses, to the people, all right? So, let's see. Now this is important. So Jesus told him that in 2025, that's the year we're at, on Feast of Trumpets, that he was going to come back for his church. Okay? Now, that is very important. What happened, not on September, well, actually, it was. So, now listen, back when the Virgo gave birth to Jupiter in 2017, when did that take place? It took place on Rosh Hashanah, Feast of Trumpets. All right? And it happened to be September 23rd that year as well. Okay? That's important because Rosh Hashanah is this date one year, that date another year, this date another year, that date another. Okay? So you've got two Feast of Trumpets, right? That are on that specific date, and that's special. Now let me tell you why. Because you got how many years is that? So if the anniversary of the 2017 giving birth, all right? So 2018 is anniversary 1, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. What? 8, not 7? Why? Because it's the beginning of a new Shemitah. It's the beginning of a new cycle. It's the beginning of a new wave. Remember, Jesus is coming in waves, right? Because we can't all take all that information all at once. There's too much. It's too much. So Jesus is coming in waves. The first wave started with the sign from the Revelation 12. All right? So 7 full, complete years later. Complete years later. You know, Rosh Hashanah wasn't on a different day this year. No, it's the same day. 7 years later. It's the beginning of a new Shemitah. Now, I talk about this in my book, God's Master Plan for the Masses. That's a book I published years ago. I talked about all of this stuff, all right? Check it out. Give me a good review. Give me some 5 stars. Help nullify that 1 star because someone didn't like that I used the name that Jesus told me to use. Okay? Appreciate it. So anyway, let's move forward. It's hard, you know. The prophets were always killed, right? Because people don't like change. People don't like having their understanding of things challenged. And so I came in with all of this information several years ago, and it was too much for people to handle at the time. And they weren't willing to, you know, give me a chance. I encourage you, go back, read God's Master Plan for Salvation, see that what I was talking about years ago is unfolding in the dreams and visions of other people. And then, once you see that I have some credibility, go ahead and pre-order God's Master Plan for Salvation so that you can see what the fresh revelation is that Jesus is trying to teach the church that is going to enlighten them, cause their brain to pop with an explosion of new ideas and things, okay? So, anyway, now get this. In the same visit with Brother Joshua, where Jesus told him that he was coming back at Feast of Trumpets 2025, now, David mentioned that no one knows the day or hour, and that is true. In fact, Feast of Trumpets, one of the iconic names, like one of the nicknames of Feast of Trumpets is no one knows the day or hour. Why? Because they relied on the moon to determine when's the first day, when can we sound that trumpet. And if they didn't see the moon like they were supposed to, like they expected, maybe there's cloud cover or whatever, then it was held off for another day. They had to see that sliver of the new moon before they blew that trumpet. Okay? So no one does know the day or hour. David, you're absolutely right. And God has that covered. All right? So, let's move forward. All right. So after telling Brother Joshua this, he says, Jesus tells him that he will take the church and those who are left, business is not going to be like usual. There's not going to be a World Cup. You know, there's going to be some chaos in the world. But that he would come back again in 2032. Okay, 2032 on the Day of Atonement, which is September 15th of that year. Now, so we got the first Shemitah, 7-year period, starting in 2017, and now you've got the commencement of another Shemitah in 7 years later from this date. So we got, all right, so here we are in 2025, right? So 2026 is the first anniversary, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Okay? So, pretty interesting stuff. God is establishing the Shemitah cycle. Now, the Jews, they have their own Shemitah cycle. But see, God is doing a new thing, and he's establishing a new Shemitah cycle. Okay? And he's coming in waves because he's doing a new thing. All right? So we live in exciting times. For all of you who participated in my chat, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap. My name is Wendy with Winds of Change Ministries. I appreciate everyone who watches this and chooses to support my ministry. I appreciate the thumbs up, subscriptions. Hey, I've got less than 100 subscribers. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. Okay? I'm trying to get up to 1,000 so that I can get some special perks. That would be wonderful. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. My name is Wendy, and we're all living in the winds of change. Now, how do I stop this? Maybe that didn't do it. I might have to turn off my phone. No, that didn't do it. Maybe this. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes. Goodbye.